Okay, let's get going. Hello, everybody. My name is Ilan Asbel. Welcome to today's webinar. If you haven't heard me before, I'm currently the CEO and one of the founders of Autochartist. Today's webinar will be around performance statistics and how to use our performance statistics section of our web portal to figure out what are the kind of most uh, lucrative trading opportunities that there are that Autochartist provides. So before I get going, obviously the lawyers will have to tell me that I need to disclaim today's presentation. It's very important that performance statistics are based on past performance, right? And that might not be indicative of future performance. So that's very important to remember. But obviously we at Autochartist we do try to create as much clarity as we can and provide you with the trading opportunities. So before we get going, I just want to ask you three quick questions, if you don't mind. First is how long have you been trading for? If you all can just answer that question, that'll be good. Thank you to everyone for answering these questions. We just, try to gauge, who our audience is at these webinars, because I don't see you face to face. So, wow, we have a nice even spread in there. Okay, so certainly the majority of you are new entrants into the market between 6 months and a year. Thank you for that. Two more questions. Which instruments do you trade? Okay, so well, I can see by far the majority of you are Forex and commodities, which is interesting. Oh no, stocks is coming up there. All right. Okay, great, Forex and commodities. And then one last question, if you all don't mind, what devices do you trade from? And obviously there's a reason why I'm asking this question about the devices, because Autochartist recently released its mobile application, which doesn't allow you to actually trade on the mobile app. It just allows you to see Autochartist alerts coming through on your mobile app. We released the first version a couple of weeks ago, and we're making some tweaks and changes to it before we do a major new rollout. We got a lot of feedback from customers and internally about the usage of it, and so we're making a few improvements before we do a major release about it. We'll obviously let you all know when the new version is available. Okay, thank you. Thanks to everyone for those, for that information. Appreciate that. Helps us, guides us certainly in what we do. Okay, so I deviated slightly. Thank you to everyone for answering those polls. Today's presentation is about performance statistics. So before I get going on the performance statistics, I want to talk about which types of patterns Autochartist actually provides performance statistics on, and what the performance stats actually mean. Okay, so firstly, performance stats are calculated on Autochartist trading opportunities in which we provide a forecast or target level. Okay, so this is a target level over here. Okay, now you will actually see on my screen right now is that I have selected the three types of patterns on which Autochartist provides forecasts. That's for completed chart patterns, breakout key levels, and approaching key levels. Okay, those are the only three types of patterns that Autochartist provides forecasts on. Okay, now let me show you some examples of those, right? Here is an opportunity on CAD JPY. As you can see, there's an arrow in the direction that Autochartist thinks that the price will go, because it identified a resistance level at a resistance level around 104.90, and obviously 104.90 is the forecast level. So this is a forecast level, right? That is an approaching key level. The first example I was showing before earlier was a USD JPY example. Sorry, it was this one over here. This is a completed chart pattern, right? You can see it's completed because it's got a solid green arrow. The transparent arrows, those are the ones that are still emerging. Okay, so this is a solid green arrow, and this is a completed chart pattern, and we provide a forecast region of 117.73. Okay, that's a completed chart pattern. Now let me show you the difference with an emerging pattern, right, on which we don't provide a forecast. So here's an example that's just come up right now on CAD JPY 60-minute data. This is what we call an emerging chart pattern, and you can see it's emerging for a number of reasons. Firstly, obviously this is ticked emerging. It's got a gray arrow, but most importantly, there's no forecast level, right? Yes, we do provide an arrow, okay, in the direction we think the price is going to go, but there's no forecast level. The reason there's no forecast level is because this is a moving target, right? This is a sloping pattern, and so it's very difficult for us to provide a target level to which we think the price is going to go to. So, so again, to summarize, the opportunities for which we measure performance statistics are completed chart patterns, breakout key levels, and approaching key levels. Right? I'll try and find that example for a completed key level so that I can show you what that looks like. Here's a completed key level in CAD Swiss franc, and you can see that that the price has broken through a resistance level found at 0.8590. There's been a breakout, and we provide a forecast level to 0.8713. Okay, so let me again enable all of those opportunities on which we provide performance statistics. So just to give you all a hint, because sometimes I find there's a difference between what's actually provided on Autochartist versus what people use in their trading. Like the only thing I can comment on is how I trade Autochartist. So if you open up my Autochartist screen at any point in time and see what I'm looking at, I'm almost never looking at Fibonacci patterns, and I'm almost never looking at emerging chart patterns. But that's just me because I have a mathematical and statistical background. So I love numbers and I love statistics. And so I like to, the performance stats they form an essential part of how I evaluate a trade. So if I don't know how something has performed in the past, I don't like to trade it because I feel like I don't have any transparency on that opportunity. So again, this is my personal preference, right? This is the way I trade with using these three types of opportunities and patterns that Autochartist provides. Now, if we take those three into account and we move over and click over to our performance statistics section, I'll just wait for all of your screens to come up. You will notice that on the that hasn't come up on your screen yet. Errol, can you just give me a hint whether that's updated on your side? Can you see the performance stats page?
Not yet.
Strange. Let me click around a little bit. Excuse me, everyone. There we go. Errol, can you see it now?
Yeah, I see performance stats now, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what happened to the GoToMeeting there. All right, so now you can see my performance stats. Now, remember the three types of patterns that we provide performance stats on? Here they are. They're all listed for you, right? Completed chart patterns, breakout key levels, and approaching key levels, right? And you have these three columns with all the stats for those different types of trading opportunities, right? Now, as you will notice on the left-hand side, this version of Autochartist that I'm using here is obviously for demonstration purposes, and it's got access to all the different markets that we cover. Obviously, for depending on where you get Autochartist from, you would obviously only get the markets that your broker actually gives you access to. Okay, so a lot of you obviously tick the fact that you trade forex. So a lot of you might only have the forex statistics in front of you when you open up your Autochartist platform. Okay, so let's look at some of these statistics, and let's first start off with the chart patterns statistics. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to briefly show you this, and I'm going to close it down and explain how the statistics are actually identified or calculated, and then I'll come back to the screen. But I want to show you what the screen comprises of first. So firstly, you can see that this is very clearly, it says performance statistics, chart patterns, right? So this is for chart patterns. You can also see quite clearly the period. What we do is we run statistics every week on a moving window of 6 months, of about 6 months. Okay, so we try to keep the statistics as relevant as possible to current market conditions. Okay, so you can see overall statistics. We've identified about 16,000 completed chart patterns over the last six months, of which 12,000, just over 11,000 hit their forecast level. On average, that's around 67%. Now, before I leave the screen, I just want to focus on the fact that we make this 67% really small because it's actually, in my mind, completely irrelevant, this overall percentage. What one needs to do is actually look at the specific patterns and the specific instruments on which the opportunities have occurred. But before we go into that, I actually want to describe to you how we measure the performance stats. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back onto the trading opportunity screen, and we'll have a look at this opportunity on USD JPY, which you see in front of you on your screen right now. Okay, so how does Autochartist calculate whether this is a good trade or a bad trade? Right. So what we do is we look historically at all the patterns that we've identified, and we measure which patterns hit the price level. Right. So we say this is what we call a pattern length. Right. So this is what we call one pattern length. I'll call it L, one pattern length. What we do is we measure one pattern length ahead of the pattern, right? If we extend this forecast line, and we measure whether the price has at some point hit this forecast line for one pattern length after the completion of the pattern, right? So once we identify the pattern, our systems keep track of what the price is doing, and if it goes to this level of 117, or for the specific case, then we say yes, we have correctly hit the forecast level. Now, it is very, very important to understand this, and I'll tell you why. Because when evaluating Autochartist, we had a big challenge. The challenge was, how can we evaluate the effectiveness of Autochartist without limiting ourselves to some kind of trading strategy? Right. So if, for example, we set a stop loss or a take profit or any kinds of exit strategies, what we'd be doing is we'd be measuring the effectiveness of the trading strategy, not of chart patterns, right? Chart patterns are something that have existed since the 1930s, right? So Autochartist is really nothing new. It's just an automation of an existing theory. Okay, so what we wanted to do is come up with a way of evaluating the effectiveness of that chart pattern theory rather than of some kind of contrived exit strategy, right? In a for a complete trading strategy. So the performance stats is not a measure. It is not a measure of how much money you will make. Right? It is not a measure of how much money you make. It is simply a measure of how many of our trading opportunities hit their forecast level within a certain amount of time. Okay, I'll repeat that. The performance statistics are not a measure of how much money you will make using Autochartist. It is a measure of what percentage of the trading opportunities identified by Autochartist hit their forecast level. Okay, so with that being said, and I hope everybody understands that, I will actually go back into the performance statistics section so we can look at it in more detail. And I'm going to bring up the performance stats again for the completed chart patterns. I'm going to scroll completely off that overall percentage because I don't want anyone to look at that overall percentage, really, to be honest. And what I want to do is I want to start looking at specifically the green highlighted areas on the performance stats. And the green highlighted areas of performance stats are the ones that have done more than 70%. Okay, and the red ones are the ones that have done less than 60%. Okay, so I see there's a question that's come up. Interval is the data interval, right? So it's either it's the size of the candle. Yashar has asked that question. The interval, it refers to the data interval. Okay, so if we look at these performance stats here broken down by pattern, right, we can see quite clearly that the star performers over the last 6 months have been double bottom, head and shoulders, and inverse head and shoulders. Okay, and then obviously close on their heels were rectangles, descending triangles, channel up, channel down, and I'll mark those differently, and ascending triangles. Now, other than channel up and channel down, which have been doing pretty well over the last 6 months, what do we notice about the very high performance patterns? And well, you wouldn't know this, but let me tell you what it is. They are all based on some kind of horizontal level. An ascending triangle looks like this. There's a horizontal level. A descending triangle looks like that. There is a horizontal level. A double bottom looks like that, horizontal level. A head and shoulders, again, horizontal levels. And similarly, the inverse head and shoulders, right? And also rectangles, right? Horizontal levels, right? And I will tell you something, that in all the years I've been trading chart patterns, the patterns that are comprised of horizontal levels have always been the top performers from being able to reach their forecast level. It's almost as if the market and human psychology plays out using horizontal levels. And in fact, if you, I'm going to erase all these drawing objects and I'll keep flipping between screens. I hope everybody is okay with that. If you go back to your trading opportunity section and you edit one of the searches, under advanced search, you will actually see that we give you the ability to actually select horizontal patterns. Right? If you only want to trade the patterns which are horizontal, and if I click that, you'll actually see that Autochartist leaves you with the horizontal patterns. So ascending triangle, descending triangle, rectangle, head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders, all the ones we were talking about before, right? Here they are, all selected for you. So if you really only want to trade the horizontal patterns, right, the patterns that have at least one horizontal line in them, then you can go ahead and edit the search and click on horizontal patterns. Again, it's up to you. It's up to your trading style about what you actually want to look at. But certainly search criteria to only horizontal patterns. But I give much greater weighting to the horizontal patterns than I do to any other trending patterns. So for example, channel up and channel down have been doing really well, but that just means that the market has been trending for a little bit, right? And so those patterns have been doing well, right? There's been a little bit more, actually a lot more volatility in the last month or two. Okay, so that's why those have been performing well. But in general, You know, I can tell you that over the many years that I've been trading this, the patterns with the horizontal lines are certainly the most strongly performing ones. Next thing is the symbols themselves, right? So again, this is a moving window of 6 months, and what you find is that during different market cycles, different instruments perform better, and different instruments perform worse, right? They kind of come in and out, you know, in terms of their performance. So right now, over the last 6 months, we can see that the star performers, Euro JPY, CAD JPY is also not too bad at 69%, pound, New Zealand dollar, Euro, Australian dollar, Canadian, New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. There's quite a few star performers, and of course, but don't discount the ones which are, you know, at the 68, 69% range. Quite a lot of those too. New Zealand CAD at 69%. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that you need to look at what actually are the ones which are really performing right now. Now, what I would do if I was any of you, I would right-click on the screen and I would click print, and I would print this screen out for myself. That is what I would do if I was you, and actually put it next to you. And in fact, I would do that for all three of the performance stat screens: the chart patterns, the emerging key levels, and the breakout key levels, right? To just have these as a reference guide right next to you when you actually need it. The next bit of the chart patterns that I want to show you from a stats perspective is the interval section, and Yashar asked me, what does interval refer to? Interval refers to the time interval of the data. Okay, and you can see quite clearly how the longer time frames, the patterns made of end of day candles, although there's far fewer of them, right? They are, you know, 3% more likely to hit their forecast region than, say, 15-minute patterns made up of 15-minute candles. Okay, and to explain that kind of thing, one needs to think back again to what is a chart pattern, right? What is the theory of support and resistance? And the theory of support and resistance is really based in psychology, right? People, a price reaches a point and people think it's overbought and or oversold, right? And that's how markets move up and down between support and resistance. And so when one looks at an interval and tries to justify why do the longer term patterns have more kind of are more effective from a chart patterns perspective, and that's because psychology, it's difficult for market psychology to play out in very short-term intervals. Many chartists, professional chartists that work for banks, they believe that they don't even look at intraday data for charting. Some of them only look at end-of-day data because they don't believe that charting can actually, the market psychology can play out in a matter of minutes or a matter of days. You know, of course, many people have an opposing view, you know, and that's obviously why we provide intraday analysis, you know. But anyway, just to understand why it is potentially that the higher term intervals or the longer patterns perform better. I see Yashar has come up with another question, a long question. Give me 10 seconds just to read that. Okay, so Yashar is asking whether if we have a trading opportunity that's come up on 30-minute time interval, does it mean the opportunity is derived using 30-minute chart, or does it mean that it's going to hit in 30 minutes time? Yashar, the answer is it's derived on a 30-minute chart, right? Normally, the way we think in terms of time is divide the length of the chart by 3, right? So 1/3 of the pattern length. So if your pattern is 100 candles in length, then we think it's going to hit its forecast within the next 30 candles, right? Whatever size those candles are. Okay, I hope I've answered that question. If I haven't, some of the guys, Errol or Yvette, are on the line helping. They'll explain. So that's the interval. The next very, very important thing that I want to talk about from a statistics perspective is the hour of the day. The hour of the day. The hour of the day is absolutely vital in terms of assessing the probability of the chart pattern hitting its forecast level. Now, I have got, as you can see on the left column, the hour of the day from 0 to 23, right? That's covering all 24 hours of the day. That's a GMT -5, right? So this is New York time, right? These stats are in New York time. And many people here in the United States think that the United States is the center of the global financial world. Unfortunately, it is not. The global center of the financial world is actually London. And during London time is when we see certainly the majority of the volatility in global markets. And most of the participants in global markets, certainly in the world of foreign exchange, all trade during the European session or the London session. And you can see quite clearly how chart patterns perform far better during the London time of day than they during the UK time zone rather than the US time zone, right? Okay, so certainly you can see that chart patterns, the probability of chart patterns hitting their forecast level is far greater when London is awake, right? This is it's a kind of the wee hours of the morning in New York. Is certainly the time that chart patterns perform the best on the forex market, and this is quite clear here. Okay, and what I want to show you as well in relation to that is I'm going to quickly switch screens to a section on Autochartist called volatility analysis. I want to quickly show you the reason for that. Here is the volatility for every hour of the day for Euro USD. This is again, my Autochartist is set to American New York, and you can see that certainly the vast majority of volatility on Euro USD, which is obviously the most liquid pair, happens during the early hours of New York. So during the normal trading day during London. So you can see how the volatility of the market and the amount of movement in the market directly influences the probable success rate of technical chart patterns. So I'm going to switch back again to the statistics screen, and I'm just keeping an eye on the time because I am way over the time. Normally I like to finish my webinars in 30 minutes. Looks like I'm going to go to like 35-40 minutes. I hope everybody's okay with that. If you can't stay for the entire webinar, then we will let you know when the recording is up online, probably by tomorrow. But let me continue in the meantime. So if you can hang around, please do. The next thing I want to look at is what we call breakout key levels, right? So these are the horizontal levels that have broken through. Again, from a statistics perspective, the overall stats we've identified over the last 6 months, 1,100 or so patterns, of which just over 800 hit their target region. Here, the overall statistic is about 72%. But again, I don't want us to look at that. Let's just forget about that overall statistic. What we need to do is we need to start looking at the specific performance of specific instruments and time intervals. Again, Clarence is asking, how do I access the recorded sessions? Errol, I believe you'll be sending out an email with a link, right? And it'll probably be on YouTube too.
Yes, Ilan, but I think
okay,
people
seem to
should
have lost Errol, but I think that
people should check on YouTube. I'll write in the link now.
Okay.
The question.
Okay, cool, great. All right. Okay, so Okay, Job, I see you asking about a way to find the time expected for the completion of the forecast. You know what? I'll actually get to that in just a moment. I'll actually show you visually what I mean. Let me stay on the screen for 1 second, and then, Job, I will come to your answer to your question right now. So this is the stats for the completed key levels. And you can see once again that there are some really star performers. Like, would I trade Euro HUF using key levels? The answer is probably not. Would I trade AUD New Zealand dollar? Probably yes. Okay, 86% hit rate. All right, 25 out of the last 29 forecasts have hit their forecast level. Right, some real star performance. What you'll find, however, is that the forecasts for the key levels are quite small. So you have to look at Autochartist and what the forecast is, just to make sure that you don't take positions which are too short term. Sometimes the forecasts are maybe 10 to 20 pips away and not 50 to 100 pips away. So you need to keep a close eye on those. But certainly, again, when we look at the interval, you can see that the longer term patterns, certainly the daily patterns, have a far better performance than some of the other intervals. Okay. Now, again, looking at the time of day, right. Now, although there's a lot of green in the section, you can clearly see, again, that during the London session, we do a lot better than we do during the US session. So the stats do dramatically drop, or they become a lot more volatile. So certainly one needs to look and focus on the volatile times of day in terms of getting performance. Now, the last one, and I'm going through this quickly because I'm running out of time, is the emerging key levels. Emerging key levels have by far the highest probability, and you can see the overall probabilities there is 80%, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on the specifics, right? You can see most of the emerging key levels are really have a high probability of success. Now, I want to show you what those look like on trading opportunity section. So emerging key levels, if I unhived all of those and just keep the approaching key levels there, these are the ones that are approaching key levels available on Autochartist right now. So you can see what they look like. They are a support or resistance levels that's been identified, and the price is moving towards them. Right? So it's interesting how we actually have empirical evidence of how the price of an instrument keeps coming back and keeps testing the same levels again and again and again, right? So if you look at something like CAD-JPY and looking at the previous statistics on performance stats, there's close to an 80% probability that this CAD-JPY forecast will actually hit its forecast region of 104.90. Again, I need to disclaim that, past performance might not be indicative of future performance, but certainly that's what the empirical evidence shows. Now, one thing you need to keep an eye on is obviously, the size of the opportunity, right? So Autochartist provided this opportunity at, well, let's look at something like this 15-minute opportunity here at around 104.60, say, and it's providing an opportunity, a forecast up to 104.90. So that's just around 30 pips, okay? Now, for you, that might not be enough. This is a very short-term opportunity on CAD-JPY, which has a slightly higher spread, right? And it's only on 15 minutes. So you need to, although this opportunity exists, you need to look at this opportunity with a pinch of salt and say, is this really an opportunity that I can trade, right? Is my broker giving me a low enough spread to trade CAD-JPY, make 30 pips, and actually still make money from this opportunity, right? And you have to look at this on a case-by-case basis, right? Never just look at the stuff that Autochartist gives you and say, oh, right, this is Autochartist is giving me this opportunity, trade it. Always look at every single opportunity. And there are lots of opportunities. Never feel like you're going to miss out. I mean, right now on Autochartist, just on this limited subset, we've got 36 opportunities on the Forex market right now. I mean, there's certainly no lack of opportunity. So take your time. Don't be too hasty to make trades. Now, Job asked a question. Before I go into my last part of my presentation, Job asked a question about, is there a way to find the expected time range for completion of the forecast? Job, there isn't a scientific way, but I'll give you an anecdotal way of how I look at it. If I look at the length in candles, right, this is 195 candles. That means that from the start of the pattern over here to the identification, that's 195 patterns. So what I normally do is I divide that by 3. Let's say that's 60 candles. So I think I aim for the price to hit within the next 60 or so candles. That is when I'm expecting the price to hit its forecast level. If the price does not hit the forecast level in the next 30 candles, I close my position. That is what I do. It might not be what you do, but that's the way I do it, because there are so many opportunities in the market that I don't like to tie up capital, right? For me, money management is very important. So I don't like to tie up margin, available margin on my account when I could be trading other opportunities and the market's moving sideways, not in the direction that I forecast. I don't sit on trades. I'm in on the trade. If it's going in my direction, that's great. If it's not going in my direction or moving sideways, I close the position and I move on to the next one. Now, obviously, I might be trading on an account which is, significantly bigger than most of you are trading. But that's even more important for you then. Like if you're trading on $1,000 account or a $2,000 account, and that kind of account size doesn't give you the opportunity to open 10 or 15 trades, simultaneously, then you really need to be picky about, how many trades you're actually sitting on, right? So you can't, open a trade and just sit on it for ages and ages and ages and not being able to open up another position, right? That's lost opportunity. So it's very important to, to get in and out. And if the market's moving against you, don't be shy to close it out. There's lots more opportunities. Move on to the next one. So before I conclude, I want to show you something which there's a section called Our Favorites. Now, this is a section which some brokers offer. It's a premium service. Some brokers do not offer. If your broker doesn't offer it, please ask them, like, why don't you offer Our Favorites? It does cost them a little extra to offer it. It is our premium product, but sometimes it's worth it. Because remember when I told you to take trading opportunities and look up on a printout next to like make a printout of performance statistics? If you have access to Our Favorites, you don't need to do that, because the Our Favorites section actually does all the hard lifting for you. So I can set a minimum probability of, say, 70% on the FX market. And what Autochartist does is that it automatically merges the trading opportunities with the performance statistics and shows me all the opportunities that it believes has a 70% or more probability of hitting its forecast level. Okay, and what it takes into account is the pattern, the instrument, and the time of day. So if you'll see on every single opportunity we're seeing right now on my screen, there is the patterns, the symbol, the time of day. So this opportunity of New Zealand dollar, US dollar, 4 hourly candles. The pattern, out of the last 6 months, 2,300 opportunities. 2,300 opportunities out of the 2,900 hit their forecast level. 75 out of 91 New Zealand dollar, US dollar opportunities hit the forecast level, and during this time of day, around 9 or 10 a.m. New York time, 86% of the opportunities hit its forecast level, giving it an overall probability of around 80%. Okay, so again, past performance might not be indicative of future performance, but certainly this, this section, Our Favorites, allows you to very quickly sift out, the kind of cream of the crop from a past performance perspective. Now, I mentioned earlier the mobile application. If your broker offers Our Favorites, that means they also offer you the use of our mobile application, which streams through the Our Favorites opportunities onto your mobile app. So I urge you to visit the iTunes store or the Google Play store. Look for Autochartist. Look for our logo. Download the app. There's a new one coming up very soon. And that'll actually alert you a few times a day, not many times a day. You won't get irritated by it. Like 4 or 5 times a day, it'll stream through the highest probability opportunities to your cell phone, and then obviously you can trade off your cell phone or trade off your screen or whatever it is. But certainly, I live and die by this little app now that we've released it. So if you're looking for some opportunities while you're on the go, download that. And with that, I want to conclude. I see there's 2 more questions. Okay, so Wol, I hope I pronounced that right. You asked why divide 195 by 3? Where did you get this? Okay, right. So Wol, it's a very good question. So Wol is asking me, why do I expect the price to hit within the next 1/3 of the pattern length? Okay, let me try and find that opportunity again. Here it is, 195. That's the one I was looking at. Okay, well, that number 3 divided by 3 is actually, we did a study a while back that showed that when chart pattern forecasts get hit, the vast majority of those forecasts are hit within 1/3 of the pattern length. Okay, so we actually have empirical evidence that 1/3 of the pattern length is the most highest probability time that the price will hit the forecast level. So it's purely based on our analysis. That is how we come to that number divided by 3. That is the way I trade. That is our expectation. If the price doesn't hit its forecast, within the first pattern length, I think the probability drops by like 30 or 40%, if I recall correctly, of the price actually hitting its forecast level. So it goes to show you that if we forecast a price, if it's going to go there, it's going to go there quickly, or it's just going to turn around and go the other way. So so that's how we come up with that. So Mike is asking, how would you use approaching levels to trade binary options? Okay. Mike, I must tell you, although Autochartist provides some analysis to binary options platforms, I don't trade binary options. My experience in it is limited. So to be honest, I don't really want to deceive you and tell you how to use them. My experience is limited in binary options, and I certainly I don't think I have any, certainly even close to enough experience to be able to tell you how to use chart patterns in binary options. I'm sorry, Mike. So Mike, in terms of the mobile app, it will actually alert you and ping you when there's new updates. I think it does it every 2 hours. And it only gets the really high probability opportunity. So there's no need for you to actually check the mobile app. It'll actually let you know when something new has come through. Carl, we'll have the recording up by tomorrow. Errol will also send out an email to the attendees of today's presentation. So if you put your email address in, Errol will send you an email to let you know that the recording is available online. It's probably going to be on YouTube by tomorrow, I'm guessing. So, Aaron, if you downloaded the mobile app and it's asking for username and password, just go through the registration process on the mobile app. If there isn't a registration on the mobile app, just go through a registration process on our website and use the username and password that you get from the website. Or just go through the registration process on the mobile app. It should give you a username and password. If you have technical difficulties, please let us know. support@autochartist.com is our email, support@autochartist.com. I know that when we did the initial release, and you can see on the stores right now, the app stores, there's only a few thousand downloads. We got a lot of feedback from users. There were some usability issues. Let us know if you experience any problems. We'll help you through that. We are releasing a new version which is much easier to use and much easier to understand in the next few weeks. I'm expecting that. So I apologize if you do encounter some small glitches initially. Okay, Errol, I'm getting inundated with questions. Maybe you can help me. I'm struggling to keep up.
Hi, Lan.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are just to do with the recording. I see Job is asking, so the completed patterns are the best ones to trade? Question mark.
Actually, not only the completed. The best ones to trade are the completed chart patterns, which means they're broken out. The breakout key levels and the approaching key levels. Those are the three. Job, let me circle them on my screen for you again. The three that I have selected here. Okay, now I see there's one more question from Cameron. I hope I've pronounced that okay. I'm sorry sometimes, guys, if I pronounce your names incorrectly. Cameron has asked if it would be useful to put stop losses and take profits on the mobile app. So Cameron, actually, we are going to be doing that, not in the forms of stop losses and take profits,